cats, cops, and C4. Cenk looks down at his shaking hands. He had needed help to pry his guns out after the girls had surrendered, and he was on the bench for now. He tracks the small pen light that the doctor is holding up to his eyes, and the Kobe woman frowns. "You've burst a few veins in your left eye. I'd like to get you to a hospital in case you're internally hemorrhaging. You kept yourself intact and have only some minor bruises and lacerations externally, but there's no telling what being smacked around with that much force did to your internals. The closer you are to doctors and the equipment needed to make sure you can be saved if you start spiraling, the happier I'll be." "All right, fine. You're still hopped up on those all-natural stimulants inside your bloodstream. I was able to detect that in your blood," she says before letting out a slight chirping-like sound that Cenk has never heard before. "You've directly enhanced it with so much axiom that even the tiny dose dried and caked against your stomach is enough to count as a biohazard. Are you in any danger?" "Not unless it hits my bloodstream. You know, I had somewhat dismissed the idea of humans effectively being a perpetually frenzied threat, but I didn't think it would be an understatement. What on centrus went through your head to make you think that enhancing a combat stimulant with axiom was a good idea? I wouldn't be surprised if you tore your heart to ribbons," she chides him. "I'd like to think that my heart is a little stronger than that." "Don't you start with the stupid tough shit attitude. Your heart isn't like your arm muscles. It works constantly, and if it stops, then so do you. Do not dismiss it," she scolds him. "I know I was being flippant about near-death levels of stress and injury, stupid big tit energy from most girls. Or should it be more big hip energy? No, yours are more muscle. Big dick then? Outside of a medical capacity, you have to check with my girls first." Cenk replies as he can outright feel the last of the adrenaline be used up. "Oh, there we go. Adrenal crash. There goes the fight out of me." He lies back on the gurney he'd been sitting on. "Just like that? You humans are weird." "So sue me," Cenk dismisses. "Do I need to stay awake or can I pass out?" "Go ahead," she says, and he puts an arm over his eyes and lets his heartbeat slow. He wakes up later, blearily and with a screaming headache. He has no sense of how much time had passed as he sits up and blinks. A quick scan of the room has him in a hospital recovery room with a window that has the curtains drawn. The unnatural tinge to the light poking through the cracks says that it's nighttime or someplace low on a spire. A bit of grabbing around and he finds a small tablet hanging off the end of his bed. It's a patient readout. Apparently he had been internally bleeding, and despite waking up and being coherent, he had had a concussion. He puts it back and considers for a moment. He had had his ass well and truly kicked by a random woman. Damn. He had state-of-the-art low-profile armor. Enough weapons for an army. The training to use it all. The will to push beyond what anyone would expect of him. Literal magic from the axiom, and it hadn't been enough. "God fucking damn it," he mutters. "I gave more than 100% and it only barely got the bitch's attention. He stops his recollection when he hears the doorknob turning and turns to regard the standard way out of the room. The moment he sees the dark purple hair, he throws the blanket as a visual block and rushes the empty handmaster. His fist is instantly caught, and there's a sensation of everything going the other way, and he finds himself crashing into the bed. He bounces off and barely manages to get his feet under him on the other side. "Relax, I'm not here to attack you," she says. "Imagine my surprise to find out that there are few, if any, dedicated melee soldiers in the Undaunted, yet you still fought well." "What do you want?" Cenk asks, and there's a slight smile. "Simple enough," she says, and tosses a data slate onto the bed. "On there is a consent form for a sponsorship. From me. You have potential. Young or not, you have the drive and the will to become more. The kind of resolve and adaptivity you showed is the sort of thing that normally takes centuries to develop. Took me centuries to develop. But enough about what happened 1,000 years ago. He picks up the slate and starts reading, positioning things so he can watch her as he does so. It's effectively an adoption form with the woman, apparently named Kai Lan, is apparently trying to get control over him. He tosses down the data slate. "No," he states simply, and Kai Lan raises an eyebrow. "I have duties, responsibilities, and goals of my own. A century may be a childhood for some people, but it's an entire life for a human. I have grown and I need no parental care. This offer isn't coming twice. You get one chance at something like this. I'm not surrendering my autonomy to anyone, no matter how strong they are. Better crushed underfoot than accepting a chain like that around my neck," Chink says with narrowed eyes. "Very good. You've passed the test," she says, picking up the data slate and turning. "Test? The hell is going?" She doesn't answer him as she leaves the room with the door closing behind her. He rushes out and opens it, but she's already gone. There's a sharp whistle as an AKA in a wheelchair eyes him up, reminding him that he's in nothing but the paper gown typical of a hospital. He returns to his room and begins rooting around for clothing. There's a gym bag under the nightstand and it's quickly opened. Thankfully, it has everything he needs excluding a new communicator. No weapons or armor though. Also, sneakers instead of proper boots, and when he pulls out the black jacket, a hood unfolds from it. The shroud brought him clothing. What? Why? He shoves the hoodie back into the bag and zips it shut before pulling his feet up and concentrating. He's not good at sensing axiom, but as he focuses he can feel it all right. There's nothing interwoven into the clothing from what he can tell. His own Axiom brand stands out enormously, and there's a great deal of Axiom flowing around the area, probably for all sorts of medical tools. He grabs the bag as evidence and tosses it a few more times to make sure there's nothing other than the hoodie slipped into it. There isn't, but he still wants to make totally sure. It's clear, so he slings it over his back and starts moving out of the room. There's a sigh of disappointment from the still waiting AKA who was waiting for him to emerge again. "Where am I?" he asks her. "St. Velison Hospital," she says, and he nods. "I see. Which way to the front desk?" he asks, and she points down the hallway. "Thank you." "Could thank me in other ways." The AKA mutters even as he turns away and starts heading down the hallway. He finds a portal that leads to the next level down and walks through with ease. The front desk is easily found, and when he finally arrives, he has a second question to go with his first. But priorities. "Excuse me, my name is Cenk Barnabas. I was wondering where my things are," he asks. "You should be in your room if you just woke up," the secretary says. "Considering that 2 women that have tried to either injure or kill me have clearly had access to that room, no, I should not be in there," Cenk says. "I'm still looking for my things. They were claimed by a woman claiming to be your wife, a Takra." "Vera Arlie Toss?" Cenk asks. "Yes." "Okay, great. How long have I been here?" he asks, and she taps at her computer a bit. 16 hours. Look, we're kind of busy, and the more we do things by the book, the easier we can sort things out. Like I said, 2 people who have proven to be a deadly threat to me have shown they have access to that room. I'm not going back in. Now what's happening here? Why are you so busy? I haven't seen a single doctor since waking up. There's a shifting police standoff further up the spire. The injured are being brought here, so all our doctors and security are focused in the emergency ward and with the delicate care patients. We don't have time to deal with a drama king with delusions of conspiracy. "I see. Thank you for your time," he says before turning away. He just needs to find a communication terminal and he can get back behind friendly lines and get some gear in seconds. Thankfully, as a public building, the hospital has a lot of them. He whistles a bit to the tune of the mnemonic he used to retain the information. It's nearly 50 digits long, but he types it out in seconds as he drops his bag to the side. "Yes?" a voice asks in English. "I'm at St. Velison Hospital. My gear is AWOL. I've been unconscious for 16 hours and 2 separate hostiles have shown to have access to my room, requesting extraction and rearming. Cenk states, and there's a pause. Are you at a public terminal? Number 4 in the main lobby. All right, location confirmed. Stand by for reinforcements. The dispatcher says, and Cenk nods. There is a rush of axiom that even he can sense, and suddenly there's a large man standing next to him with a rucksack. Specialist Barnabas? The man asks. Cenk just turns to him and both of them grin. They recognize each other easily enough. They haven't spoken much, but you don't constantly spot someone over and over again for months without becoming a little familiar. Hey, Cenk says. You got here fast. Did you even get briefed? I was told to go and ready escort back to the Dauntless and that you would need a reinforcement bag, he says, and Cenk quickly opens the pack and quickly slips on the armored vest, the thigh holsters for the guns, and straps a sheathed knife to his shin. Finally, he slots a rifle through the channels on his back. That last one takes a bit as it's designed to come off easily. Holstering the weapon quickly is a secondary concern to securely carrying it and unholstering it easily. Wait, you can't just, the secretary outright states as she stands up. I'm afraid we have to. No one will be hurt, but our soldier here senses danger, so we're getting him out, the other soldier says before handing Cenk a Kutha coin that's been heavily modified. Hold on to that, Cenk. T-minus 30 seconds. What does that even do? This is a hospital that, the secretary says as Cenk grabs the gym bag to make sure it stays with him. That let in the woman that gave me a concussion into my room unopposed, and let a criminal that I've been tracking put things in that room as well. I could have easily been killed in either case, Cenk says. Then the Kutha coin begins to glow, and Cenk holds on all the harder. He's suddenly inside the Dauntless, surrounded on 3 walls, the ceiling and floor with a thin layer of Kutha underneath a clear floor covering. He breathes a sigh of relief. So what scared you so badly? What was in your room beyond a hostel? The other soldier asks, and Cenk holds out the bag to him. There's a criminal that's been kicking off gang wars, hiring mercenaries and pushing drugs. Their sign is a black hoodie. This bag had the clothes I'm wearing in it, but there's one piece I haven't put on. A black hoodie? The soldier asks, and Cenk nods. Shit. So she was in your room and didn't place a bomb. She put clothes there instead? Yes, but I'm not convinced it's a woman. Yes, there's good odds of it. But, well, I just don't know. I don't have all the data. But first I need out of this evidence and into some proper clothing. I'll return everything to the quartermaster when I'm done, but I'm not going to feel safe without a lot of guns for the foreseeable future. No kidding. I wouldn't either, the soldier says, and Cenk nods before he takes back the bag and starts to move. He needs to move up 2 floors and down a full quarter of the ship's length to get to his chambers. He's not looking forward to the sheer amount of paperwork he's got in his future, or the call he's going to be giving both Vera and Linda. Still, it's not like avoiding the problem will solve it.